All right, all right. Welcome, guys, girls, ladies, everyone who is here. The competition timeout is back. It is Monday. And what a weekend it was. The Olympics wrapped up. But we're gonna keep talking about what we've been talking about. We're gonna preview the season, the NFL season. All right, we're still in the AFC North. We are previewing the Cincinnati Bengals. And last year Joey B gets hurt for a little bit. They go 9-8, the Bengals, and I believe this is the first time. Yeah, it's the first time since Joe has been there that they have missed the playoffs. Well, maybe his first season. His first season they missed the playoffs, but this is the first season since that season. So they went 9-8, so they were over 500, but it wasn't enough to get into the playoffs. So this year they're looking for a rebound. There are a lot of people's, not surprise team, but a team to look out for. Seems to be like a consensus pick to, for people to have these Cincinnati Bengals in their as their picks for this year. So let's get right to it. The Bengals did have some losses. All right, the Bengals are one of these teams, not necessarily similar to the Packers, but their owner doesn't like to spend. They do a lot of things through the draft, which is similar to the Packers. But yeah. So as far as losses, I wrote down some key ones that I think will be key. Uh, they Tyler Boyd had to walk in free agency, obviously, as we know. They got to pay these receivers. T. Higgins still, not paid, and I don't think he's going to get paid. I think only one of either him or Jamar is going to get paid, and I think it's going to be Jamar. So that's that. Uh, Chidobe Awuzie, corner, DJ Reader, the nose tackle, Jonah Williams, one of their best linemen, and Joe Mixon, who they traded away to Houston. So I guess, you might not want to call that a big loss because they decided to voluntarily trade him. But, it is what it is. All right. These are the big signings for me for them additions. They got Geno Stone, safety from Baltimore, who had a big season last year. Zach Moss, they signed off free agency, I guess, body to rotate in there with second year player Chase Brown. Sheldon Rankings gets signed. He was in Houston last year. He kind of, I guess, will fill what DJ Reader left. Uh, they signed Trent Brown, another tackle to add to their somewhat okay offensive line. Von Bell as returns to the Bengals after being away a few years in Carolina. And in the draft, they added in the first round offensive tackle from Georgia, Marius Mims. So great athlete there. Bode well for the future there. Other offensive line, if everything pans out. Um, so yes, coaching wise, nothing has changed. Zach Taylor is still the man in charge. Lou Anarumo is still the defensive coordinator. I think there was a change in offensive coordinator, but Zach Taylor's still in charge. I think he kind of controls that offense for the most part. Is off of his concepts. So rebound year for the Bengals. Obviously, like we said, is it really much of a rebound? They did go 500. A rebound would be getting a win or two more so that they can get in the playoffs. As I said with the other teams in this division, that they are going to beat each other up. They really are. That's what I think. That's what's going to happen. So, yeah, if That'd be cool if all the teams could get in, but that's probably not going to happen because there's other divisions that are easier, and you get two teams there. And this is, like I've said several times the last couple episodes, this is the best division in football, honestly. All right, another thing to look out with these Bengals is what honestly is going on with the T Higgins situation. Is it going to be a distraction? Is he finally going to end up playing? Uh, I don't think it's going to create a thing in the locker room, but I do think with them losing Tyler Boyd, at least for this year, they got to figure out, what's going to be around after Jamar. Uh, you know, uh, which, like I said, I think he's the one who's going to get paid out of the two. They'll either let T. Higgins walk or somehow they'll find a trade for him. The other thing that for me, I'm going to point out, they did sign Mike Gesicki, and maybe in this offense he can somewhat flourish again because that'd be cool. You know, just saying it would be. Uh yeah. So with this team, obviously they have the top two receivers. I already talked about. Let's see what happens with the Higgins situation. At running back, they have second year guy Chase Brown. They also brought Zach Moss in for rotation, a veteran guy, get things done. My biggest concern has been the concern of the Bengals since Joe Burrow's been there. Is can this offensive line be good enough? Obviously, they have the two big guys at the tackles now, Orlando Brown and Trent Brown on each side. These guys are combined. Orlando Brown is 6'8", Trent Brown is 6'8", so they got these big 6'8" guys. Trent Brown being a veteran, uh, there, and you know we'll see what he can do there. He's 31 now, and see what he can do. Orlando Brown on the other side, 6'8", 345, 6'8", 370 for Trent Brown. So the big guys at tackle. Then inside, you have some question marks. So the offensive line is going to be a big key for their success. Obviously, Joe Burrow's been able to get over that hurdle of that line, but yeah, we'll see what he can do. Defensively, they didn't obviously they did lose a Wouzier, pretty decent corner they had. As far as everything else on this defense, it's the same defensive line besides DJ Reader is the same. We'll see what Sheldon Rankins can do to take his place. Linebacker, still got Logan Wilson, still got Akeem Davis Gaither, uh, you know, Jermaine Pratt, still there. Like I said, defensive line, you still got your pass rusher, Hendrickson. You still have Miles Murphy going into year two. Sam Hubbard, a little rotation there in the defensive line there. In the secondary is probably my biggest questions. They are going to, and like I said, this is the part where, because of their owners inability to want to pay people. I mean, everybody knows I'm not saying something that's not known. Um, Sometimes they do have the trusted draft thing, and they've been pretty good at that for the most part throughout the years. So they have the trust. The young corners, you got DJ Turner, DJ Ivy. Uh, who else? You got safety Jordan Battle. You got Geno Stone, who they signed, Cam Taylor Britt. So they're counting on this young secondary. Obviously, in the back end, they have some veterans like Geno Stone, who they signed, and Von Bell, who comes back. Who knows Cincinnati. In the back end, they have some veterans who can make it stable back there. Who are these young corners? Obviously, it'll help that the defensive coordinator hasn't changed for these young guys everywhere. Not just in the defensive backfield, but that's probably the biggest question mark. But I think they'll make up for it. Obviously, you do need a good pass rush a lot of times to get things done, and they have the pass rushing um, bodies there that have done things in this league. So yeah, I think with the Cincinnati Bengals, two biggest concerns for me are the line, can they hold up, and then the corners, just because of the young talent. Um, I'm not a big guy on you got to have a guy there. I actually think that we should trust. Like, how else are we going to evaluate these people that these teams drafts if these kids don't get a chance? And a lot of times, like, you know, these kids don't get the chance from teams because the team's trying to put a veteran ahead of them instead of putting the trust in the guys that they drafted. Um, so I do like this for Cincinnati, them getting out there, seeing what these guys have in the bigger role, and then you just like figure it out from there. They do have, like I said, some veteran guys, but mostly young. But Joe Burrow stays healthy. T. Higgins is out there on the field, even if it's his last season. This team will be back in contention. I think, if I'm looking at the schedule, New England to start the season should be fine. Kansas City. In Kansas City, they always play Kansas City pretty well. They're one of the only teams that's gone into Kansas City, especially in the playoffs, and beating them there. Uh, so that game is up in the air. Commanders, they'll be fine. Carolina, they'll be fine. Ravens, here we go. This is when we start. I think each team in this division has a chance to, split with each other every time. Giants, they'll be fine. Browns split. Eagles up in the air. Vegas, they'll be fine. Ravens, once again, up in the air. Chargers, they'll be fine. Steelers up in the air. Cowboys, we'll see. Not up in the air, but I'm leaning Bengals. It's in Dallas. Then they go to Tennessee. That one, we'll get into the preview of the AFC South, so I won't give anything away. But that, I'll tell you what I think from the other side. It's in Tennessee side. Browns up in the air. Broncos, they'll be good, and then Steelers up in the air. So they split the division, and I think they could get enough wins to get a good record there. I see. I see 7 wins, just that I think they should win. And then you take the split in the division, that's 10. And then you know, they can beat one of these tough teams. Dallas, Tennessee, the Eagles. Get one of those, and they'll be 11-6. Yep, and that could be good enough to make the playoffs. But yeah, I think they have a chance to get back and possibly, win the division as well. Challenge the Ravens. Speaking of the Ravens, they're who we got next week. I mean, not next week, tomorrow. We'll finish the AFC South tomorrow with the Baltimore Ravens, and we'll go from there. Guys, that was another episode of the Competition Timeout. Peace.